You mentioned though that red pill and red pill content has a bad rap. I've sort of noticed. I feel like people are trying to distance themselves from that word, red pill.
Good, good.
Like I interviewed Rich Cooper, and he was he was saying, he's like, I don't want to call it. I don't like to call it red pill. I like to call it unplugging or something. And I'm just like, it's semantics, right? I mean, it's the same idea.
Well, there's a thing to it. Like red pill isn't just some marketing gimmick. And that's what here's the thing. The people you see that are using red pill hardcore and distance themselves from it are marketers. Okay. I'm talking about red pill. And that started 2008 with a guy called on his blog, Hawaiian Libertarian, also known as Keone Galt. And he came out of the pickup space, like So Suave and that, which is where Rollo came from. And he had come out with the very first red pill piece of content called Game is Red Pill. And it was the idea of, there was two concepts in there. First was the emasculation paradox, which for marriage is like a lot of guys who are afraid of their wife's emotions and like, she could divorce rape me, and as long as I treat her well, she won't do it. But the problem is emasculating yourself like that actually makes it more likely to happen. Mm-hmm. So the only way not to have it happen is to stand up for yourself and like say to hell with it. If you want to try divorce me, you don't hit your ass on the door on the way out. And then the other thing was the idea of what you're hearing from people and what you're seeing from just experiencing game itself shows you the red pill blue thing. It was a loose matrix thing. Right. And then after that, you guys got Chateau Artiste or Royce in DC. You had Roosh V, pre-evangelical, whatever the hell he's doing now. And you had old Rollo. They were called the 3 R's of the Manosphere. That's why the joke was I called myself the fourth R. And yeah, so then it started from blogs mostly. There was Chateau Artiste, there was Rational Mail, there was Roosh V forums. And then from there, around 2012, 2013, I think, what had happened was this guy went by the name PK Atheist, who was actually ended up being Robert Fisher, which I don't know if you've heard about him, but he eventually started the subreddit for it because he was like, we need a place where we can talk about this stuff. The blogs are nice, but there's no place for people who don't have a blog. And then he mentioned how the men's rights wasn't really useful. They were just like blaming men for everything. And then the pickup space wasn't doing any good because they're just blaming women for everything. And he goes, neither of these are useful. And so that had started there. And then about a year later, this guy named Solos, who I still don't know who he is, we've talked a little bit, suggested that the standard game advice is if a girl's crossing your boundaries, just leave her. Like, you're just dating. Who cares? You're not committed to her. It's not a fucking wife. And he goes, yeah, well, if you're married with 2 kids and a house, next isn't exactly the easiest solution. So surely there's got to be stuff you can do between here and there. And then the married red pill subreddit started. So this is all red pill. Yeah. And there's a very large group of guys that nobody has ever heard of, like Uncle Vaz, Red Pill School, Wine More Please, Rule Zero Dad, Taipan Shim Sham, who used to be called S-Curve much back then. Like, there's a whole, I could rattle off 20, 30 names. So these were guys, and me included at this time, who were trying things. You know, how do we fix this? How do we do this? And then the red pill canon kind of blossomed out of that. And then around 2018, when the whole Anthony thing started, all of a sudden, everybody who would never heard of started talking about I'm red pill this and I'm red pill that, and never even heard of Rollo. Who's Roger Tamarsi? And you're just like, okay. So clearly it got popular somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then KSDJ did her movie that was just basically a Paul Elam men's rights thing. And so a bunch of dick writers jumped onto it. And then that's really what got it as bad opinion. That's how you get that how would you open 7 ways to be an alpha male, number 6 will surprise you shit. Yeah. So now that everybody's kind of jumping shit, I'm actually enjoying, because for me, it's not like I don't know if you would consider yourself like a coach or a consultant or a mentor or any of that stuff.
I'm a podcast host.
Gotcha. Same. If anything, I am closer to that YouTube account, Internet Historian. I just have 10 years worth of stuff and a really good memory. So I'm explaining to people what things were like for the last 10 years in the red pill. And so when I see guys like, I'm here to save men, I'm here to tell you to go fuck yourself. It's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, so anybody who's marketing has no idea about any of this stuff. You can already tell because the way they talk about things.
What's up, brother? If you like this clip, go back and listen to the full episode. I guarantee you'll love it. Visit my channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe now. If you prefer to listen to longer episodes in audio format, the podcast is available on all major podcast platforms.